But can we talk about this? Just one dropped on the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 clear plastic bags that stadiums require when you go to a professional sporting event. Like, really, do I really need all of these? This is all of the food that came out of the pantry that was expired. Today, we're going to the dump. And those are not words I thought I would ever say in my life, but we are doing that today because desperate times call for desperate measures. Over the past 3 months, I've been Swedish death cleaning to pare down my life's possessions. And what surprised me wasn't what I let go of. It was the real changes it made in my life. Today, I want to show you exactly what changed. Hello and welcome to The Simple Pleasures. I'm Laurie. If you've been following my journey through Swedish death cleaning, you may have already witnessed many of the visual differences in my home. But today, as I reflect on what has changed, many of the things that I've noticed are not even things you can see, but rather what feels different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the reduced stress and anxiety that I feel now that a majority of the work has been done in my home. I've experienced decades of anxiety and stress caused by being the steward of my family's possessions. Over the years, I have held on to artifacts from my parents, my grandparents, my uncle, my children, my siblings, in addition to my own stuff. And throughout the decades, I've moved a handful of times. Basements have flooded. And the amount of stress that I've carried trying to preserve these items was overwhelming. But I did it out of love. And now that I have sorted through most everything and released what doesn't need to be carried to the next generation, it has significantly reduced my stress and anxiety and replaced them with pride and a sense of deep accomplishment. When I think about the reduced stress and anxiety this work will mean to my surviving relatives, it makes me feel very proud and happy to have given them that final gift. Now that I have touched and made a decision about nearly every single item in my home, I've noticed something new about myself. I've significantly improved my focus and the experience of mental clarity. Sometimes it knocks me over. My closet and my drawers are no longer overflowing with items crammed anywhere I could make them fit. Research shows that organized spaces help the brain process information more efficiently, and I have absolutely noticed that benefit. I now see that my clutter was competing for my attention, and it had increased my cognitive overload. Being surrounded by clutter on every surface and lurking behind every door was working at odds with the peaceful and calm home I was trying to create. How Swedish death cleaning differs from your regular run-of-the-mill decluttering is that Swedish death cleaning is more of what I consider to be a life review. As I sorted through the objects that marked major milestones in my life, I had to process who I was and who I am and who I want to be in the future. That helped me reflect on my relationships, memories, and my own identity. That was a lot to process. You've seen some of my other episodes of the series, like the video titled I Lost My Cool or The Sentimental Journey. You witnessed me processing those emotions in real time, and it takes time. I had to resolve my own emotional attachments to items and notice how I was clinging to those seasons of life before I could begin to let things go. Once I released those items and decided which things were the most important to pass on to my loved ones, it was a huge emotional burden lifted from my shoulders. So if you've repeatedly heard me say that I feel lighter, this is what I mean by that. Perhaps the most important thing that has changed since I completed most of the Swedish death cleaning in my home is the reduced burden on my loved ones. Now that all of my belongings are organized, that will bring less stress and conflict on my surviving family members. By creating that legacy binder with a lot of the information and resources that my family will need immediately upon my passing, what has emerged is peace of mind. And perhaps the most surprising thing that I've noticed, my improved mood and satisfaction with life in general. My husband says I'm smiling more, and he loves that. I've noticed that I have a lot more patience these days. And while I'm an empathetic person at my core, I feel I have even more empathy now for people who are hanging on to their own life's possessions and struggling with part of this journey. Everyone processes things on their own timeline. And while I hope that by sharing my journey here on YouTube is helping some of you dig deep and find the courage to make the tough decisions, if that time is not now for you, I absolutely get it. It took me decades to find the time and the courage to do this. My own mother died young. She was only 43 and I was just 16. It was a profound life event for me. I learned very young that we're not promised tomorrow and that we should live for today. But I clung to so many objects because I thought I was honoring my mother's memory. I think if she could whisper in my ear, she would tell me that she is proud of me for finally releasing those objects and releasing the burden of guarding and protecting them for all of these years. What changed since Swedish Death Cleaning is that I'm much more focused now on relationships and experiences rather than possessions. It's caused me to reflect much more on what truly matters. And for the items that remained with me through this process, there is something very calming about knowing exactly what you have and why you chose to keep it. So this process of Swedish death cleaning has definitely changed me. Physically, I have less clutter in my home, which has improved my mental state, bringing me less stress and more clarity. And the emotional processing I've done along the way has resulted in acceptance about the seasons that have come and gone, closure, if you will, and great anticipation for the season I'm living in right now, and more focus on the people who are so precious to me in the right here and the right now. Thank you for the kind encouragement you've shown me throughout the process. Your comments and kind expressions have definitely kept me going. As always, I thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one.